Hi, this is Sarah, the Stitchin Mommy, and it's Monday, February 26th, 2024, here with my weekly cross-stitching update. So I'm excited to share what I have with you. Some of it is good progress, some of it is not so good progress, but that's how life goes. First, I have a few things that I received this week. I got a fun package in the mail from Donna, and she gathered some things she'd been wanting to send me, so I thought I would share those. This is a teacup pattern that she found and thought of me right away. And it's so cute, all the different colors. It's pretty much full coverage with back stitching and everything. She said it's in Just Cross Stitch 1997. So pretty, pretty, pretty. I think this one's my favorite. Very cute. So thank you, Donna. She also threw in some other goodies. There was this needle minder that I think is included in the, it's an antique painting, but it's included in the stitching shelf, which is fun. From Gina's Unique Boutique. Very pretty. Definitely me. Some lady stitching. I love it. And there was a turkey pattern that she included and some fancy fabric that is meant to go on it, or they're meant to go on this. So the new Gobbletons by RETM, and it's these cute Thanksgiving turkey, Quaker turkeys, and this background is the fabric, which is kind of crazy. Like that's really cool. There's a couple more. They're not in here, but there's more by them that are the like some witches and some like, I think this is a Rudolph and an elf. They're so funny. But she also had the fabric. So I think she'd tried to stitch on this and it didn't work for her, but here's the fabric. Isn't that fun? So looks like a fat quarter, and then you would put the turkeys right in front of the pumpkin. It's pretty fun. I hadn't seen anything like that before. So I'm not sure yet if I'll do this myself, but we'll see. It may be a giveaway at some point, and she acknowledged that it may or may not be my style. It is very cute, and I'm a little bit tempted, but we'll see. I haven't quite decided yet. But thank you, Donna. That was really fun and kind of a surprise in the middle of a crazy week, so that was great. And then my parents visited, which knocked out some possible stitching time yesterday, which was unfortunate for winter montage, but that's okay. I'll probably do a little bit more on winter montage at some point this week to kind of flesh out what I was hoping to get done on that yesterday. But she brought this book with her that she's been cleaning out her craft room and had already given me the cross stitch stuff that she had, because she's not really a cross stitcher. She's a knitter and a fiber spinner predominantly. So she's found this one and brought it to me. Most of it is a little too dated for my taste, but there was a few things I thought were pretty. This first one I really liked. God is Our Hope. Pretty colors. I don't know that I would need to change any of that. Some of this stuff is like maybe could be more modernized with new colors. This is another one I thought was really cute. I thought of you, Amy, from Amy Loves Toads, because there's a turtle in there and some birds. Pretty spring flowers. I liked that one too. I don't know if I'll ever do any of these. But I thought, oh, I need to keep this. I think this is the other one I really liked. Pretty cross. It looks like the border might be sparkly, which is fun. And I think that was the only other one I was considering. Oh, this is a pretty one too. It's like a honeycomb one. So that's fun. And several more, but there's a lot in here. But those are the ones that kind of caught my eye. Here's an Eastery one, but a little, it has some cranic in the border too. So that was fun. So oldie but goodie. I don't even know if it probably has a date because it's a book. 1991 but it looks like this one might have been published in 2003. Like it had 4 different printings of it. So yay! So that's a new book to add to my collection. Let's start with travel stitching. I worked on my turtles yesterday. I didn't know how well I'd be able to do to even get the patches done because I didn't get them done in the car. Then my parents were visiting, but then we were playing Plunder, which is a pirate game. And at one point I lost my boat and I lost my island. So I was just basically waiting out each turn, getting another resource card, rolling for doubles, waiting out another turn. So I was just sitting there. So I worked on my temperature turtles and I got my patches done and I started in on the fins and things. So here is where this is at now. This feels a little dark in here, but 28 count Caribbean Blue Jobelin by Witchelt, 1/1 full cross. And it's kind of a stretchy fabric, so I realized like I'm working on my cross stitch fun is on Jobelin too, and it doesn't have the same feel, and could be because this is hand dyed, so maybe it changes the properties. But I also feel like it's stretchy this way, and the other one is stretchy this way. Sorry. So I think with the way I stitch, I think in the future, if I use Jobelin, I'm going to try to make the stretchy vertical because it's just better for the way that I stitch. So anyways, I'm not restarting these and they're cute. So I have decided to continue the way I mistakenly did the first turtle, where I kind of spiral the inside patches instead of zigzagging, even though it's charted to zigzag. It's charted to spiral around the tiny patches on the outside and then zigzag through the middle. For some reason, when I was charting it, that made sense to my brain, but when I was stitching this one, it made sense to just keep the spiral the outside ones and then spiral the inside ones, and you finish up in the middle. So I kind of liked that. So I'm going to do that again with all of them, even though it's not charted that way. So feel free to do whichever way makes sense to you. And then this one, it's included in the last page of the PDF. It's titled Cross Stitch Instructions. There's a little chart that talks about the recharting the tail area to allow for a 29th day, so all these other turtles have a little tail charted in the color of the appendages. The 29th, the February turtle, the tail is kind of just like an extension of the shell for the 28 days, but when it's leap day, I figured we could chart that end of the shell as the 29th day. So that's like your tail area. So I'll put that patch on at the very end for leap day. And I worked a good amount on my kitty Cats and Hearts. It's very close, so I will definitely be finishing it this week. Here is the cover page. This is by Kitty and Me Designs. Found these ones on Etsy. Some of her designs you can find other places, but these particular ones I think I could only find on Etsy. So this is the February one. I'm getting real close. I have some thread on my needle right now. So here is where it is now. These are 25 count, 1/1, white even weave. So the kitty I'm stitching in DMC 535, so it's a dark gray to match smoky. And I have the darkest green is now on my needle, so I'm adding that in the cross stitches. And I've also added a little bit of the back stitching as I was using it to kind of get to a new place to cross stitch. So I'm going to try to do most of the cross stitches first, and then I'm going to add the back stitching. I think there's some little one stitch back stitching in these that I did as well. So I'm doing all the dark green cross stitches and back stitches, and then there's a darkest pink that has some cross stitches and some back stitching, and then it will be done. Yay! So then I can move on to marches, which will look like this. So hopefully I'll get this started before I see you again. This one is greens and purples, which is fun. So that'll be fun. I'm trying to think where the center might be, like right here. So I might have to do some colors before I start working on the kitty cat. So that'll be fun to get those. I'm enjoying these a lot. They are very fun to pull out. I will probably also be adding a little bit of a during the morning or during early afternoon, times that I might not normally stitch. I want to get back to a model stitch that I had started a while ago, actually. I feel like it's been more than a year since I put it down. It's a third installment in the Herschel and Lucy series that my niece has drawn, and then I charted into cross stitching. So I have gotten the motivation to finish it and post it for everybody, because I'd like to, for some reason, these Herschel and Lucy designs, I want to stitch them, model stitch them before I release them. All the other patterns I haven't done that, but they have fractionals and back stitching, and it just looks a lot better stitched than it does in the mock-up. So Carolyn Zook over at Zook Stitch here on Flosstube, she won a PDF for my shop in my recent giveaway, and she chose the first Herschel and Lucy design, Introductions, and I'll put a picture here. And she wants to start that in April and do like a stitch along with everybody. So then there I have a second one that is called Feeling Fancy, where they're dressed up. He's got the bird has a top hat and the little ladybug has like a plume of feathers. And then I have a third one that has been charted but not stitched. Not fully stitched, it's partially stitched. So I'm gonna try getting that done here in the next few weeks, and hopefully maybe mid-March I can get that posted for everybody, so that when the stitch along starts in April, you can have 3 patterns to choose from. So I think that would be really fun. And I am sorry it's taken me so long to get this one out. But it's a cute one too. I'm not going to give you any spoilers, but there is a third one coming, and I think that's really fun. So I don't know that I'll be able to get any more out, because my niece is now in college, so she's busy during the school year with all of her classes and things. So, but maybe during the summer I can talk to her about maybe making another one. So we'll have to wait and see. Oh yeah, a couple more actually, travel-y stitchy things. I worked on my Castle Homecoming Club a little bit, and they did have they are planning to do a new stitch along starting, I think they're going to release the theme in March, like mid-March maybe. So I'm hoping, it sounds like it's going to be an animal themed one of some kind, so I think I can resist that. But this is Castle Homecoming Club, and I'm working in the border. I did a good amount of the border over here, so it's getting nice and filled in, which is really fun to see. I may actually go ahead and complete the inside of the border before I do this outer blue thing, because then I know exactly how far down to go, even, because I'm not going to want to stop it and have a break in the variegation if I don't have to. So so this is coming along slowly but surely, like a 1 hour, 1.5 hours roughly once a week. So not a whole lot. But here's this one, 28 count ice blue even weave, Lugana, I think, 1/1 full cross. And I did a lot of the stuff in the border that really fleshed it out. Like I got this greenery filled in, and then I went back and did the thistle greenery, so that thistle is all the way done now. I did the blue flower, some of the yellows, I think. So definitely pretty good. So I have a little bit more, there's some pink flowers in here, and then the iron work. It's in blacksmith blue, so that's where I got the word black. And then I can do the outside blue border and work in the sky and the castle and the little castle. So fun. So it's still enjoyable to get that out, see it progress. It's going slow, but it's only February, and my goal is to finish it by the end of the year. So worst case, if I feel like there's gonna be a crunch on my time, I can bring this out and put it in my focus slot in my rotation to give it a couple days every week of regular stitching time as well, if needed, when we get closer to the end of the year. So we'll have to wait and see how that all happens. Okay, so I filmed on Tuesday last week. So I started out with Dragon Ride. Oh, just kidding. I have one more. My Bonnie and Camille Shine Bright sampler. I did work on this too. This is my I work on this sometimes in the afternoons, sometimes when I'm calling friends. So this was a friend call with Desiree. And where is this one? I got a good amount done. So the March block section is almost finished. So close. So I'll probably knock that out this week at some point. This is 40 count Morganite linen, 1/2 full cross with the called for Ari flosses that were part of the conversion. You can find those on their Fat Quarter Shop website. Just type in Shine Bright sampler and it's the floss pack. The numbers are listed in the third photo. So all I have left is this little color right here, which I think is a light green. But I did like all of these reds and these 2 reds when I was on the phone or video call. So that was fun. It's really coming together. Now I can show you my Dragon Ride. So I worked on this technically, yeah, 2 days, but they were 2 of the busiest days. I was like, I had high hopes that it would be fine, but there was just so much going on. I got a lot of travel stitching done on Wednesday, especially waiting for one son to have honor band, come back from an honor band rehearsal, wait for the other son in between track events, waiting in the car. So much waiting. So a lot got done on Cats and Hearts, but not very much at all done on Dragon Ride. And then, yeah, so I was hoping to get the ground finished and starting on the border, and I didn't even get the ground finished. So I was kind of disappointed, but I am hoping to get 4 or 5 days on this week. So hopefully it will look a lot better next time. So here's where this is at now. Not a huge difference from last time, but this is 28 count light blue even weave by MCG Textiles. And this time I was just working on the shadow half stitches under the bottom. I did I think all the dark one last time. So I did the second color throughout the whole thing and then came back to do the third color. And in the directions, it seems like it should be a 2-strand half stitch. But this outside, you can see right here, it's really thick and it looks like it's glowing almost because the original called for fabric was more like a platinum, tannish, grayish, whitish color. So using these light purples on blue, it's really standing out, whereas that other color, it just kind of blends in to the, creamy, grayish, tannish color. So I thought, well, I don't like that. So I had a little bit of this done and I took it out and did 1 strand of this lightest purple, and I think it looks really good. So from here to here is all 3 colors. The first 2 are 2 strands, the last one is 1 strand. And I think that works. It just kind of fades into the fabric a little better. So I'll be taking this chunk out of the final, the light color and redoing that in 1 strand. And then I have this needs to get filled in down here and around here in the light color too. Then I can work on the border. Maybe do some backstitching. We'll see. I want to get a lot done on the border. I think that's going to be my first. One other thing, I have literally, probably can't even see it, right there is a quarter stitch that I missed. So technically all the full crosses are not done in the dragon because I have 1 quarter stitch that is not done. But thankfully, the color that is called for that quarter stitch is one of the border colors. It's a blend. So I'm going to get the blend on my needle, do my quarter stitch before I forget, and then try to start knocking out the border. So I was like, really? 1 quarter stitch? And if it wasn't in the border, I might either fudge it or do if it was a blend, just pull out 1 of the colors and just do it because it's hardly going to be noticeable. But since it's a border color, I'll go ahead and just stitch it properly. But that was funny when I noticed that. I'm like, oh, really? Then I pulled out Harmony for one day, technically, to get its second day on for my Whip Go board for February. This is a former freebie by Heaven and Earth Designs. I am not stitching the background. I'm doing it 1/1 full cross on this Holiday Mint by Color and Cotton. And here is where I got to. So I, again, didn't get as much on this as I would have wanted to. It was still really busy on Thursday. I got 209 stitches on Thursday, which I ended up with I finished the next row, like the very top row of 10x10s was like this much that I'd finished last time. So I finished up this one, which was great. So I have another row completed, choosing symbols and then stitching them in wherever they go. But I had a long thread still on my needle. I'm thinking I'm going to put this away probably for the whole rest of the year. I don't want to leave a string hanging. I want to stitch it in. So it kept eating away at me. And so Saturday and Sunday, I put in a few more stitches, 26 stitches on Saturday and 45 yesterday, just to finish out that string. And I ended up with a total of 581 stitches total in February. So it's not great, but since it's a full cross project, that's all right. I'd like to get 1,000 stitches on some of these, but when it's a full cross project, 500 is probably a more reasonable goal, and 1,000 on a half stitch project. So it's at 1.07% because I still haven't completed the the background in Pattern Keeper. So at one point I would like to go through and just haven't had the time and go and take that out in Pattern Keeper, take out the background by marking it as completed. And then my percentage in there will show significantly higher. And then I can have it where every year I like to update a spreadsheet that shows how many total stitches remaining in all my Pattern Keeper projects, because that number is quite helpful to know what is actually closest to finishing, because the size of the pieces and no background, with background, it kind of all muddies the waters in your brain of what you feel like is closer to a finish. So when you actually see on paper the amount of stitches remaining on project, it really helps you prioritize what is, what you could focus on next. So I would like to get that background marked off in Pattern Keeper sooner than later, so that when I refresh my spreadsheet at the end of the year, it'll reflect better what's actually left on that piece, and that will bump it up in the priority, I'm sure, because there will be a lot less to do than it shows right now. Friday and Saturday, I pulled out Cross Stitch Fun, and I actually had a decent amount of stitching time on those days, so that was wonderful. I'm very happy with what I was able to get done on this. This is by Keslin's, my only monochromatic design, and I'm really having fun with it. So my goal this time was to kind of work along this first 10x10 row underneath the border. I had the top border all done already, and make sure the border on each side is filled in that 10x10 square, plus any motifs that start in the 10x10 square. And then I'll finish the motif wherever, till it's completed. But if it is touching in that first 10x10 square, I would work on it. And I got all of that done. I'm so excited. So, and I got tired of one side of this being a bigger border, so I cut it down. So now it's better. So this is, maybe I'll put it up here. You can have the bottom, the before down there. What is this? 28 count Star Sapphire Jobelin by Witchelt. And it's 1/1 with Coastal Seaweed by Victorian Motto. So there's a little bit of a variegation between like a gray and a green, and it's really, really pretty. So I did this side, I believe, I got one whole length of thread in this border, because when I first came to it, I realized there was still some border that wasn't done yet in that first 10x10 grid that's underneath the border here. So I did one length of thread here, and then I went in and started working on the different motifs. This is the last motif I did because it was the biggest. I did all the little ones first. And then when I was finishing up some of these, I think, I put them into, I think one of these. I did my remaining thread in the border, and it wasn't quite enough to fill out, I think it filled out the top 10 by 10 amount of border, but then when I was done with this one, I had a little bit more thread and did a little bit more. It's still not quite, like this thing right here, this mirrored over here, dips into this second 10 by 10. So when I come back to this and I need to start picking motifs in my second 10 by 10 row, I'll need to do a little bit more in that border as well. So I'm hoping to kind of slowly bring the borders down as I bring the motifs down. This next 10 by 10 row will include this, like, this really big one right here. And it's got a lot of white space, so it may go faster than it looks at the moment, but it's got like these two medium ones and this really big one and a couple little ones. So, but that'll be fun. I don't think I'll get this out again until next year, unless something comes up that I need to buddy stitch this with Colette, the highway stitcher, or I need to work on a monochromatic piece for some reason, or I don't know. But it was on my WIPGO board. My WIPGO board goal of 2 days is now complete, and it actually has had 3 days so far this year, so that's been great. So that's crossed off and done. And Harmony was a WIPGO piece too. I didn't mark them off, but they're my WIPGO board. So all my calls for January and February are finished now. And 10 and 1 are the new calls that she just called yesterday. So on my full coverage board, that is Butterfly Cat, which is another one I'm doing no background, and it's actually charted that way. And Grapes, which is a fun one because that one is probably the closest to a finish of any of my like legit full coverage pieces. So I'm excited to get some work done on that one. And then on my non-full coverage board, I have 2 fancy ladies that got called, Villa Mirabilia and Garden Prelude. So that'll be fun. I'll start charting, not this week, but starting next week, I'll put one of those in each week in March. So that will be fun. I think that's everything I worked on. Oh no, Winter Montage, which was supposed to get time yesterday, but since I was playing games, I didn't get hardly any time on it. I got 42 stitches yesterday, which is not enough. In my brain, I like to get at least 100 to feel like I've touched it officially in a day. So I'm probably going to put a little bit more on this at some point this week. I don't know exactly when. So this is by Pain Free Crafts, and this will be the last I'll work on it until December. So it's probably not even worth showing you, but here is where I got to. This is 28 count white Eve Lugana 1/1 full cross, and the 42 stitches were greens. So I was trying to fill in this leaf, which I would love to do before I put this away. And so along here are some of the greens that I was finishing up my string, because there was only like 2 or 3 stitches of each color. Like these are not all the same color, of course. So it's going to be confetti stitching, which takes longer. So anyways, so I'm hoping to get another, 30, 40 stitches. Oh, wait, 40, 60 stitches this week to at least to make this feel like it got some time. So if I ever have some extra time in the afternoon, I will pull this out and try to get that to a better stopping point. Because going forward here in March, I have another project I'll be working on for my seasonal Sunday. So let's talk plans then. So March, I have not planned it out yet. I have the WIPGO numbers, but they came on a day I had company, so I didn't get to play. But I will be working on Lollipop here for the last Monday in February, because I need one more day on my family piece that I didn't get done before. So this is by Tilton Crafts. This is for my daughter, and hopefully if I can put a good amount of progress into this, I can get this done by her high school graduation. Like the boys will each have one for their high school graduation. I thought that would be fun. Even though I've already made her a full coverage piece. It's hanging in her room. So here's my starting point on this one. Hopefully I'll get some time in on this today And this is 40 count Vertil 1/1 half cross. Probably get some of this stuff filled in because I'm working, this may be a whole 10 by 10 square right here because I'm picking symbols within a 10 by 10 grid before moving on. So this color was in here somewhere. So finishing out my string, that's how that all got filled in. So I'm excited to see how the transition will play between the really dark clouds and the brighter parts. So that'll be fun to see. And so that'll get sometime today. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I'm planning to work on Dragon Ride for the most part all of those days. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday were already going to be Dragon Ride days because I didn't work on it at all during the beginning of the month when I was working on full coverage February acrostic, and I wanted to give it 2 days a month, 2 days a week. Because February is a short month, it was going to get maybe fewer days in general, so it's going to get 7 total potentially in February if I give it 3 days here this week. Because in March, I have a new start planned for Carolyn C6 Stitch's birthday. I'm fitting that in during my Wednesday, Thursday set of times, which will be focus piece. Presumably all Dragon Ride unless I can finish it before the end of the month. I have no idea. So one of these slots that would have been Dragon Ride, I'm going to move up here before my official rotation starts for March, and I'll end up getting 3 February days and 2 March days all on Dragon Ride. So that's going to be exciting. So hopefully I'll have some decent progress finally to show you on Dragon Ride. And then my Celtic Ladies I'll bring out on Sunday, which is my first, I forgot to bring, my Celtic Ladies have their own package. They're not in my folder. So I'll put a picture up of what my mock-up looks like that has a little bit of all 4 Celtic Ladies from Lavender and Lace. And I'll be working on the spring quadrant here in March. So this is what this one looks like. This is on 32 count lamb's wool linen by Witchell. So here's spring. I'll get close to that so we can have a before and after. Spring is the one I have the most done on, so maybe that's a commentary on the time I have to spend to stitching is better at the beginning of the year. But hopefully I'll get some more done on her hair and things, and maybe even do some medallion stitching. Dress, who knows? I'm going to give this 5 Sundays here in March, so we'll see what happens with that. And then, because we have Leap Day this month, I wasn't planning on working on this again, but I was thinking my Quaker USA flag that I started on Australia Day, I think, which in January. This is by the Bibsters on Etsy. And I thought, you know what, this would be fun. Somebody else was doing this for their Leap Day start because it's something that possibly could get finished in 4 years. So I will, I thought, you know what, if I'm going to do this as my leap year start, it's not a leap day start because I didn't start it on leap day, but it's a leap year start, I should probably work on it on leap day. So I don't know how much time I will give it because I do want to work on Dragon Ride a lot this week, whether it'll get that whole day or if it'll get one length of thread or maybe one block. But I thought, you know what, I should at least do a little bit on it. So here's my starting point on this one. I'm doing this on 40 count vintage country mocha with some fancy threads. I think the dark blue is 939 still, which is called for. And the white is B5200 because Blanc didn't show up quite well enough on this fabric for my taste, because some of the white will be by itself. But the blue and the red are Victorian Motto Sampler Shop. I think Garden Rose and Blue Sampler, perhaps. So I'll do a little bit of that at least on the 29th because I think that would be fun. Going forward, this one might end up being a a stitch that I work on when I call my sister, when the frosted pumpkin one is done. So that was a good suggestion given to me by Rita Marie, and I love it. So that will hopefully get that progressed enough to finish it in 4 years. So I will work on it for at least a little bit on Thursday. Yeah, on Thursday for leap day, since it's my leap year start. I need to head out now. I think that's all I have for you. So I hope you have a wonderful week of stitching. Enjoy the end of your February, and happy stitching. Bye.